dragon!
I wanted to do something that wasn't entirely out of my wheelhouse, but was fun and for kids. And, you know, I got kids now. I got a 26-year-old, so he's been able to come see most of the movies I've been making for, I don't know, 13 years. And then, but the young ones, they're always home at premiere night. So I thought that would be fun. And honestly, there was something about just the gentle, sweet adventure and the idea of communication and empathy and all that stuff that wasn't, I hadn't really been out of the mire of, you know, intergalactic threats for a while. So I like the idea of a return to the kind of movie that I grew up watching when I was a kid.
The great thing with Dolittle is that he is very eccentric. But, you know, so is Sherlock and Tony and all that. But there is a part of him that is incredibly compassionate as well, because he does have these animals that he cares a lot about. And he does have a very scarring loss that he is carrying with him through this whole movie, that he's trying to find a way to reconcile.
In the beginning of the movie, when we find Dolittle, he's in recluse mode. So I wanted to think about the character that I'm creating is someone who has become a hermit and isolated himself, probably due to some trauma or emotional or disappointment or whatever. And his reasoning is that he's taken it upon himself to help the animals only, but really it's that thing of where he's given up on humanity, and he has secreted himself to this estate that was gifted him by the Queen.
Robert he's incredible, really. I mean, just looking at him on set, acting and working is just incredible. I learned so much from him. And he went out of his way to make sure that me and Harry were okay and we were feeling comfortable, and he's just the most hilarious person. I mean, he always knows how to make jokes, and really just the mood is always great. And I really look up to him.
Dolittle acts out of his heart and wanting to do good in the world, and in his own quirky, mad, Rumpelstiltskin kind of way, he doesn't really change for anybody, because he knows ultimately what's in his heart, and what he values is far richer than what people are running towards.
Lady Rose is confident, kind, determined, and she just sees the beauty in everything and everyone. She is very determined to be able to save the Queen. She is very determined to help Stubbins really believe in himself. She's really observant. She can see things in people that most people don't see.
I love the relationship with Stubbins and Lady Rose, and Carmel's brilliant as well. But I love it because they're both completely opposites. Stubbins is this really shy person, and he's just doesn't really want to talk to anyone. But he finds this beautiful girl, which is really strong, powerful, and she just has got a lot of power. And they both have missions. He wants to save his squirrel, and she wants to save the Queen. I don't really know which one is more important for Stubbins, but I'm pretty sure he wants to get this squirrel saved before the Queen gets saved.
Mutterfly has harboured ill feelings towards Dolittle for many, many years. I think at heart he's really jealous of Dolittle. I think he recognises that Dolittle has a kind of wild, raw, natural ability that he lacks. And I think for all his apparent hatred of Dolittle's spontaneity and chaos, actually he's really envious of that kind of freedom that Dolittle has. And so he's sort of turned that envy and that jealousy and that admiration, I suppose, I think, for Dolittle into a kind of burning desire to stop him and thwart him.
I think it's a fantasy all children have, in a way, and you know, that
they can talk to animals and animals can talk to them. That would be, so exciting, so useful. And I think, in a way, having had that fantasy as a child, you carry that through your life, and I think everyone is sort of intrigued by that. And how much do animals understand? Do they really know what we're saying? All that, it just taps into that, and then taking it to the nth degree, as this film does, is great fun.
It was a blast working with Antonio. I mean, he was so committed to bringing this crazy king to the screen. We gave him a look where it's really kind of fun. I mean, it's written as a pirate king, but we wanted to do it in a way that felt fresh. Not, obviously pirates have been done very well on screen in these type of movies, and so he just brought sort of a whole other level of fun to it, and really went for it.
It's a phenomenal fantasy because, as I said before, not only just kids, but anybody would love to know what is in the mind of those animals that, especially that we love, our cats, our dogs, horses, domestic animals, but beyond the domestic animals, the wild animals, what they think. So the possibility of just having that contact, it's phenomenal, it's different, and it's very magic.
It was also very important to us that each of the animals had distinguishing characteristics. So if we have our parrot, or we have our dog, or we have our polar bear, it doesn't look like every other animal that would be, in a zoo or on a, shelf as a stuffy, like in the store or something. We wanted them to have their own personality, but we also wanted to understand why were they with Dolittle. That was equally as important. They were all there for some reason. And a lot of it was physical, but some of it was he was helping them, more emotionally or mentally. His doctoring is not just, making sure that, again, the dog has glasses or the polar bear has the right hat to keep him warm, but it's also helping them, emotionally, whether it is Chi-Chi finding a way to be brave, or Plimpton getting out of his own neurotic head and not being so negative about everything.
As far as the design goes, we would go into these sets, and with Dominic, the person in charge of the production designer, we would just kind of walk around the spaces and outfit him and talk about him for hours and really think about it in terms of the blocking, but also it's not often that you're doing a living room set where you're saying, all right, now, wouldn't we have to make room for a polar bear to get in here? And what about, where can the giraffe put her head in the window? And, and what's a comfortable place for a silverback gorilla to sleep? So that was a lot of what we did, was literally just trying to set up all these environments to house this motley crew of creatures.
Yes, I think to myself, oh, what a wonderful world.